He took my body, then disappeared like I never existed. No text. No call. Just silence. And the worst part? I knew better. I knew men like him. The kind that smiles like they're listening, touches you like your art, and lies like it's love. But that night, under dim lights and cheap wine, I let myself believe he was different. Stupid, right? I remember standing in front of my mirror the next morning, his scent still on my sheets, checking my phone like a desperate teenager. Nothing. I texted, "Hey, last night was a lot. Hope you got home okay?" Send. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Days passed. Still nothing. Just the echo of what we did replaying in my head. I spiraled, not because of the sex, but because I let him see a part of me no one else gets. The softness I bury. The fire I tame. He held it all, then ghosted me like trash. But let me be very clear, this isn't a story about a broken heart. This is a story about revenge. Cold, calculated, and earned. Because I don't stay quiet for long. And when I come back, I burn. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're alone. This story gets messy. It started on a Wednesday, the kind of midweek slump where your soul just aches for something reckless. I wasn't looking for love, or even a real connection. I was just tired of being alone. So when my friend Kira dragged me to that overpriced rooftop bar downtown, I let myself slip into a short black dress that hugged all the right regrets. Lipstick too red. Heels too high. Expectations too low. Then he walked in. Tall, easy smile, that slightly undone button at the top of his shirt that said, "I'm not trying too hard," even though he clearly was. His name was Liam. And Liam knew how to look at a woman like she was the only thing in a room full of mirrors. Our eyes locked, and it was like he saw something I didn't even show myself. Within minutes, he was beside me, smooth, confident, magnetic. We talked about everything and nothing. He asked questions. Real ones. Deep ones. The kind that made me feel like I wasn't just pretty, I was interesting. He laughed at my sarcasm, touched my arm like it was a secret. And when his hand slid down my back and lingered just a second too long, I let it. I told myself it was harmless. Just a night. Back at my apartment, the clothes came off easily. But what stayed behind, the ache, the heat, the hope that clung to me like perfume. He kissed like he knew me in another life. Held me like he planned to stay in this one. It wasn't just sex, or maybe it was, but it felt like more. It felt like more. And that's where I messed up. The next morning, he was still asleep when I got up to make coffee. I even smiled. I stood there like a fool pouring 2 cups, picturing us laughing about it later. Maybe he'd stay for breakfast. Maybe we'd talk about seeing each other again. But when I turned around, he was gone. Just gone. No note. No sound. Just the bed, still warm from where we lay. My stomach dropped, but I stayed calm. Told myself, maybe he had to rush out. I waited. And waited. Hours passed. Then a day. Then 3. I texted once, casual, chill. No reply. Checked his Instagram, he'd posted a story of him at a beach bar. Laughing. Drinking. Living. Not a word to me. My brain went into overdrive. I stalked his feed, analyzed our texts, replayed every minute of that night like it was a crime scene. And maybe it was. Because I gave him something real, not just my body, but my vulnerability. My softness. And he took it. Devoured it. Then vanished. I told myself to forget him. move on. But every time I saw his stupid smile on my feed, it lit something in me. Not pain. Not sadness. Rage. The quiet kind. The calculating kind. I wasn't going to beg for answers. I was going to make sure he regretted ever touching me. It took time and control to silence the hurt and sharpen it into something useful. I unfollowed him. Blocked him. Then unblocked him a week later. Not because I forgave him, but because I wanted to know what he was doing. Who he was doing. I didn't cry. Not out loud. I just started paying attention to how men like Liam move. How they feed on attention, praise, pursuit. And how they always come back to the flame if it flickers just the right way. So I changed the game. I posted carefully. Nothing desperate. Just the kind of photos that screamed unbothered, gym selfies, brunch with friends, fake laughing at nothing in particular. A soft flex. And I could see it working. One day, I saw that familiar name pop up under my story views. Liam. No likes. No DMs. Just watching. Lurking. Waiting. Good. I waited a week. Then posted an old photo of us as blurry, just his silhouette in the corner, with a caption that read, "Some people never deserved the best parts of me." Within hours, he liked it. Then, finally, the message came. "Hey. Didn't expect to see that. Hope you're okay." I stared at it like it was a puzzle piece. I could have ignored him. I should have. But revenge needs proximity. So I answered. Took me a while, but yeah. I'm okay. He replied fast this time. Asked if we could talk. Said he'd been going through some stuff. Said he missed me. I almost gagged at the cliché. But I told him we could meet. One drink. Just to catch up. When he saw me again, I watched his eyes travel, hair, dress, lips. He was trying to look casual, but I saw the hunger. The possession. The regret. We sat close. Too close. He apologized, vague and cowardly, said he panicked that morning and left. I nodded like I understood. I even touched his hand when he said, "You didn't deserve that." No, I didn't. But I smiled anyway. We talked for hours. And it was almost laughable, how easily he slid back into old patterns. Flattery. Physicality. The performance of care. And I let him. I let him believe I was still that same girl, soft, forgiving, desperate for closure. But I wasn't. We started texting again. Late night calls. Flirty messages. He asked if we could start fresh. And I made him work for it. Cancelled on him twice. Left him on read. Then finally, one night, I let him come over. He brought wine. Kissed me like he was sorry. Touched me like he was trying to fix something. And I played along, slow, teasing, deliberate. But in my head, I wasn't in bed with a man I missed. I was lying beside the boy who thought he could break me and walk away. And this time, I was the one who disappeared the next morning. No note. No text. I blocked him everywhere. Erased him like a bad idea. Like a name you regret saying out loud. But I wasn't done. This wasn't about one night. This was about power. Payback. And letting him feel, even for a second, what it's like to be disposable. It was almost poetic, how quiet everything got after I blocked him. Like I'd finally muted the chaos. For 2 whole weeks, I didn't think about Liam. I didn't have to. I had my closure, the kind you give yourself when no one else will. But life, of course, loves to stir the pot when it starts to settle. And it did. On a random Thursday night, I was in bed, scrolling, when I got a message from a name I didn't recognize, Sophie. Her profile picture was a mirror selfie. Pretty. Young. Big eyes, soft curls. Her message? Hi. I hope this isn't weird, but I think we've both dated Liam. My heart stalled. Not out of jealousy, that ship had burned, but because I knew exactly where this was going. I answered cautiously. Yeah, I did. A while ago. Why? Sophie replied instantly. I think he's lying to me. Can I ask you something? What followed was a slow, gutting unraveling of everything Liam had kept hidden. Turns out, I wasn't the only one he ghosted. Or manipulated. Or made false promises to. Sophie had met him 2 months after me, and they'd been serious for 6 months now. But lately, he was acting strange. Distant. Secretive. Disappearing for hours. Dodging questions. She found my name buried in his blocked contacts. That's how she found me. I should have walked away. Told her good luck and left it at that. But I couldn't. Not because I wanted to help her, not at first, but because part of me wanted to watch him fall. And what better way than through the hands of the woman he thought he was controlling? So I told her everything. Not the version that made me look like a victim. The raw, ugly truth. How he seduced me. Ghosted me. Then came crawling back. How I let him think he had me again, and then disappeared first. Sophie was quiet for a long time. Then she said something I didn't expect. He told me he loved me last week. I believed him. Ouch. We talked for hours after that. The more she shared, the more I realized she wasn't stupid or weak, just like I hadn't been. We were both just hopeful. And that's what Liam fed on. He didn't want love. He wanted reflection, someone to mirror back the image of the perfect man he pretended to be. And suddenly, revenge didn't feel like enough. It felt necessary. So we made a plan. It wasn't elaborate. Just precise. Surgical. I told her exactly what to say, when to say it, how to catch him off guard. She invited him over for dinner one night, candlelight, soft music, the whole act. Meanwhile, I waited. Across the street. Watching the window like a silent ghost. At exactly 9:13 p.m., Sophie texted. He's here. I just mentioned your name. 2 minutes later, I saw him rush out of the apartment. Fast. Panicked. He looked both ways like he could somehow outrun the shame. I stepped out from behind the car. He froze when he saw me. I didn't smile. Didn't blink. Just whispered, surprise. His jaw clenched. What the hell is this? I walked past him, up the stairs, and into Sophie's apartment. She was already pouring wine. Calm. Beautiful. In control. And Liam? He stood outside the doorway, unsure whether to chase or retreat. Eventually, he walked away. We toasted. Not because we'd won. But because we weren't the ones bleeding anymore. After that night, he tried everything. First came the silence, the kind that pretends nothing happened. Then the guilt-tripping texts, you really didn't have to do that. And later, the classic victim routine, you set me up. You're toxic. I didn't respond. Not once. Because I knew silence was louder than anything I could scream. Let him spiral. Let him feel powerless. For once. But I wasn't done. See, I didn't want just revenge. I wanted a reckoning. A story he'd never escape, the kind that clings to a man's ego like smoke on silk. So I told mine. Anonymously, of course. I wrote it all down, the seduction, the ghosting, the manipulation, the lies. Every little thing. And I posted it on a private confessions blog women in our city follow, a place where girls share warnings, red flags, and heartbreaks. I changed his name, of course. But not the details. And oh, did people recognize him? The post exploded. I watched as comments poured in. Dozens. Then hundreds. Other girls. Same patterns. Same Liam. Some worse. Sophie messaged me. Are you seeing this? We weren't the only ones. And that's when it really hit me, this wasn't about me anymore. It never was. Liam had spent years charming women into silence. I just happened to be the first to set the fire loud enough for the others to come running. We weren't crazy. Or clingy. Or dramatic. We were just the aftermath of a man who thought intimacy was a game. And now, he was exposed. Rumors started spreading. Someone leaked screenshots. People began to whisper his name at parties, not in admiration, but in warning. I heard he lost a few friends. A job opportunity. Maybe more. I didn't care. I didn't need to watch him crumble. I just needed to know he'd never feel safe doing this again. Weeks passed. I moved on. Deleted his number. Changed my sheets. Got rid of the wine glasses he used to touch. But the story, my story, stayed up. Not as a wound, but as a monument. Not to him. To me. Because women aren't disposable. We remember. We adapt. And sometimes, we rise from the ruins not softer, but sharper. So if you're listening, if you've ever felt used, erased, or made to feel small, hear this. You don't need closure from them. You are the closure. And the last word? It's yours. Always.